Hello, beautiful souls. Thank you so much for joining me today on the meditation channel. Welcome. So I really just wanted to take a moment to connect with you and to basically have a little chat, talk about what's going on in the world, talk about the LA fires. For those of you who don't know, I actually live in LA and I had to evacuate twice already. So far I am safe, but until this Wednesday, so today is the January the 13th that I'm shooting this. Until Wednesday, we won't know if we're 100% safe, but the area that I live in is a little bit further away from the fires. Thank you. But we're still at risk because of these winds. So I just want to send out my heart to all of you who are in my position, and of course, my deepest condolences to those who have lost their homes, who have lost their pets, maybe even their loved ones. Luckily, there haven't been that many people who have passed, but there's still, unfortunately, there have been some people who have passed. So I wanted to take a moment to basically talk to you about what we can do as, number one, spiritual people during these hard times, and number two, just as people. You don't have to be spiritual to really show up. But also, I just wanted to give you some tips here on basically what you can do to help yourself right now, because, well, first and foremost, the news is blasting information all over the place on these fires, especially if you live in LA. Your anxiety, your stress is going to be very high because you're going to be on constant alert. And I mean, really, one of the things that we can do for ourselves right now is essentially to help ourselves to soothe down the nervous system. So just a little bit of background on this. I actually survived a house fire in 2013. So in 2013, back then, I lived in Australia and I worked for a group home, a home with people who have mental illness and disability. And unfortunately, one of the clients set the house on fire during my shift at night. I was very fortunate and I was able to get everybody out safely, but at a cost. So what happened was essentially that when the fire started, I have the keys to everything. That house was basically a mini prison. All the windows were double barred with metal bars. The doors were double barred because these were high-risk clients. So they were violent, they were offenders, and obviously they had to be kept inside and they were never allowed to leave the premises without us, without the staff. So I knew that my first priority, as soon as I heard the fire, there was actually a big explosion, and I knew that the first thing that I had to do was obviously open up the doors so that everybody could get out, because if I didn't get out, then nobody else obviously would get out. So that was my first priority. I got one of the clients out, and then one of the other clients was left inside. Now, if you know anything about fires, fires pick up really fast, whether it's a house and whether it's nature, especially if it's dry nature. Unfortunately, things burn. Fire is raging. Fire is intense. And the crazy thing about a house fire is that what it's burning isn't wood or nature, it's burning toxins. So chemicals and plastic and materials. And so the smoke was just this black wall of fog. So I decided to go back inside the house to try and get one of the clients out. Of course, I get to her house. Her door was locked. So I'm fumbling to get the keys, and all of the security lights switched off. So all of the emergency lights switched off. So essentially, I was left in pitch black. Now, if you know anything about fire, it disorientates you. So I didn't know anymore where left or right was, where up and down was. I started to inhale a lot of the smoke because literally the room next to hers was the one that was on fire, and the ceiling started to catch fire. Anyway, I found myself on the floor. That's where the oxygen is, by the way. So for those of you who ever find yourselves in a fire, this is why they say down and roll, because all of the oxygen is at the bottom. The fire will be up here. The smoke will be up here, sorry. Anyway, I got out, and thank God the police arrived on time. They were not able to go back inside the house. And I actually wanted to try to get back in a second time to try and get her out. And I remember hearing this voice in my head saying, if you go back inside, you're not going to make it out. And I stood there at the door and I just felt so guilty that I could not get her out. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to watch her burn alive. And as I was about to go back in, I sat there, I heard this voice, and then the roof collapsed where I was going to be. So I'm sharing this story with you guys because essentially what I'm trying to tell you is this is a time of listening to your intuition. This is a time to really be connected to the self. If I didn't listen to that voice at that time, I probably wouldn't be here. Although, like any extreme event, over time, they have a lesson or a something to teach us. And this is absolutely not to take away, by the way, the suffering or the tragedy that people are going through, because I just cannot imagine what it's like to lose your home, your belongings, your memories, your pets, anything like that. It's absolutely atrocious. But what I can say for myself, these events tend to happen because they are pushing you to completely transform and change your life, to change the way that you've been doing things, the way that you've been thinking, the way that you've been living. And sometimes it takes extremes to motivate us to do these things, or we would never do it. Again, I am not taking away the suffering here, but that's what I learned from my lesson at the time. And I really, really hope that once you all heal and recover from this, that you too can find some glimmer of hope and peace in all of this tragedy. So in the meantime, I wanted to share with you basically what I feel would really help us as a community and as a society. So there's a couple of things that I think we should really do right now. And one of them, these are things that, by the way, I've been doing for myself to help myself and make myself feel better. And also just to really be the person that I say that I am. So one of the things, guys, is really, I invite you to do some healing, some meditating, really take the time to take care of yourself, of your mental health, of your nervous system. You know, I was teaching a meditation class the other day, and a lady said that her blood pressure is really high at the moment because all of the news and all of the stress and all of the fear that not only is carried outside from the media, but you got to understand that if you're living in a society where multiple people are feeling this energy, it just spreads. It just influences and affects each other. So just being in the frequency of fear, it's going to influence you. So at this time, guys, I truly invite you to take care of yourselves, of your mental health. If you've never meditated before, now is the time. There is no excuse. There are so many free meditations online that you can listen to help you soothe your nervous system, which, by the way, I will make one for this exact purpose. So I'll put a link below so you can find it there and you can listen to it. The other thing, guys, that I really encourage you to do, and this is something that I am so grateful for, is being of service to others. You know, it's unfortunately and fortunately during tragedies, it's when humanity reveals its true self. So we get the extremes, right? We get the people who reveal the darkness. So there's people who are actually setting fire. There are people who are actually stealing, taking advantage of people's weaknesses, people's vulnerability. And then, of course, you have the light that shows up. And when the light shows up, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. There are people who are showing up and donating their time to charities, to animal shelters, homeless shelters, donating their belongings, their clothes. And even if you don't have the opportunity to do that, you know, just knock on the door of your neighbor and say, hey, I'm here. If you need anything, here's my number. I just did that the other day to all of my neighbors. You know, went across to all of them and I said, hey, just so you know, because of these times, if you need anything, if you ever have an emergency, here's my number. If you're not at home and you need me to evacuate your dog or anything that you want me to get out, just in case you're not here, please reach out to me. You know, it doesn't mean I can actually do it, but if I have the opportunity, of course I'm going to do it. These small gestures have a ripple effect also. Just as much as the fear has an influence and has a frequency, the light also has an influence and a frequency. And it sometimes, unfortunately, takes extremes for people to really realize who they are in these moments and to really shine their light. So I really encourage you guys that after this, to remember this power, this light that you have inside of you, and to continue shining that light, even in normal circumstances, because what we see as normal, to tell you the truth, is not. There's a reason why we've gotten to this point. There's a reason why we have wars. There's a reason why we have factory farming. There's a reason why we are shitting in our waters. There's a reason why we're a pest to this world. It's because we're not doing the right things. And unfortunately, it takes extremes for us to wake up. And I really encourage you not to get to that point, to really start doing these things regardless. And I know it's hard because this world is not set up for us to succeed. It's not set up for us to shine our light. It really takes a lot of effort and a lot of strength to be the bigger person. And listen, I definitely have not been perfect myself. Of course, in extreme events, they cause extreme reactions. And I recently posted a video where my message did not come across the right way. And it came across as, I just didn't word it well. And I can see why people took it that way. And it just came across as me basically belittling a certain group of people when I was talking essentially about how spiritual people, when you send your prayers and your wishes, thank you very much. But at the same time, do something. For me, spirituality is about not just sitting there in meditation or in prayer. It's about taking action and receiving those downloads. That's why we pray. That's why we sit in meditation. And yes, do that. Please do that. It does have an effect. But also, who are you after that? And those are the important things. And so when I worded it because I was upset, because I was emotional, the energy and the way I projected that information didn't come out the right way. And so again, we got to be careful at this time, especially myself, how we word things, because I'm a very honest, upfront person. I'm very opinionated, but at the same time, there's a time and place to do certain things. So right now, it's just a time for us to show up for our community, do anything that you can to help and support. And if you're not near LA, learn from this. That's the most important part. Watch what's happening. And if you think that there's something like this may not happen to you, think again. There are small things that can happen to us at any given time. And so it's really important to remember the light that we have within us, the light that we carry and that we can share and that we can give to others. So I just wanted to take this time basically to connect with you all, and please leave a comment below if you've been going through this at the moment, if you're challenged, if you lost your home, or anything at all right now. This is a space for us to connect and to help one another, hopefully. So like I said, I'll leave the meditation below. This meditation is specifically designed to help you soothe your nervous system through these challenging times, to help you heal and reprogram so that you can handle the pressure, so that you can make better decisions as well. Because when we're stressed and when we're in fight or flight, we don't make the best decisions. We're just thinking about survival. So we really want to get our system into a place where we're able to make conscious decisions and good decisions. All right, guys. So the other thing I wanted to share with you is that I have started an email list. In this email list, I put anything from new meditations, information about the moon cycles, new moon, full moons, any workshops, anything at all that I'm basically making. So if you're interested, you can find my website below and you can contact me directly. You can just send an email if you wish to join it. I would love that. I'm just trying to build a community here online so that we can all help one another and heal together. All right, guys, I hope you're staying safe. I'm sending you lots of love, and take care of yourselves and each other. Have a magical day.